News! Okay, we'll start with this, the disappointing news that I'm sure most of you have heard by now. Tyson Fury has allegedly suffered a cut in camp in training for the Usyk fight that was supposed to go down later on this month, and the people at Queensbury have released an official statement. WBC champion Tyson Fury has been forced to postpone his fight with unified champion Alexander Usyk after sustaining a freak cut in a sparring session in Riyadh. The cut, which opened above Tyson Fury's eye, required urgent medical attention and significant stitching, and will obviously require a period of recovery, scuppering any possibility of the fight with Usyk taking place on the 17th later on this month in Saudi, a spokesperson said.
Right.
Whilst this is still breaking news, it is clearly a massive disappointment after the work that has been done by so many people to finally deliver this historic event to the world. Once the doctors have appraised Tyson Fury's eye, he will have a better idea of the period of recovery needed. Once known, we will work diligently with all these stakeholders and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to reschedule this fight as soon as possible, and will of course keep everyone updated with developments. A disappointed Tyson Fury added, "I am absolutely devastated after preparing for this fight for so long and being in such superb condition. I feel bad for everyone involved in this huge event, and I will work diligently towards the rescheduled date once the eye has healed. I can only apologize to everyone affected, including my own team, Team Usyk, the undercard fighters, partners, and fans, as well as our hosts and my friends in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia."
There is a video of what happened, a video of the sparring session that led to the cut, leading up to the cut, that looks like it was recorded with a Nokia phone.
With said video being so dark, so pixelated, so grainy, you can't actually see the cut. You see
two guys,
Tyson Fury's sparring partner, connect with a short hook or a short elbow on the inside, heralding the cut, and Tyson Fury gesturing to his eye that he was cut, but you don't actually see it in the video. Both combatants were wearing headgear. There are one of two ways you can take in this information.
There are.
Interpret this story. Now, one is that it's exactly what they say it is.
It is.
It's exactly how it looks, and this guy got injured in sparring, so it just is what it is. He suffered a laceration above his eye, and he can't go into a major fight like that. That's one way you can look at it, and you can look at it that way more or less because there were already rumors, widespread rumors, that Tyson Fury was getting turned over. He was getting done up, banged up in sparring, that Jai Opetaia dropped him, and Jai Opetaia was sent away after sparring Fury for just 5 rounds.
You can take the story at face value, or you can not take the story at face value.
Either way, Tyson Fury is at the center of it. Though, if you're like me and you don't take the story at face value, you don't believe anything Tyson Fury says, anything that comes from his team, I mean,
what you're looking for is a cool head and a level head in light of this news. If what you're looking for is somebody who's gonna give Tyson Fury the benefit of the doubt, let me tell you now, you're in the wrong place.
I'm not going to do that, because I've always thought Tyson Fury was a grifter, a shyster, a con man, and I think this entire thing is one big con job to get out of fighting Alexander Usyk like he got out of fighting Kubrat Pulev and Alexander Ustinov, Vladimir Klitschko in their rematch. He was supposedly injured ahead of that rematch, and that injury subsequently led to the rematch never happening. It went from an injured ankle to Tyson Fury being mentally unfit, and as a result of that, the second fight never saw the light of day. I don't think Tyson Fury wants this fight to see the light of day. I think it's all fake.
I think what he wants is for the Saudis to save the date, have Usyk fight later on this month against somebody else, some short notice opponent, so that that opponent comes along and beats him.
They're already talking about putting Usyk in there with Philippe Hrgovic, his mandatory challenger by way of the IBF. What Tyson Fury and his team may be thinking to themselves is, let that Croatian guy fight him, and if the Croatian guy beats him, that guy ain't got no profile anyway. We can skip out on him and face the winner of Joshua versus Ngannou, set to go down the month after this one. You might want the winner of that fight, whoever it is, whether it's Francis or Anthony, because those two guys are more beatable than this guy. They're more beatable than Alexander Usyk, and you tell yourself, well, there are pictures. There are actually pictures out there of the cut and sparring footage, but need I remind you?
He's not squeamish. He fights for a living.
Would he really fake an injury? Would he really cut his own eyelid to get out of this fight? Well, better that he cut it than Alexander Usyk in the process of beating him. No, he wants to stay an unbeaten fighter, an unbeaten champion, and he can't do that if he fights Usyk. Rather, he doesn't want to roll the dice. He doesn't want to find out. There's another money fight out there for him that's more winnable. Bear with me here. If he approaches the winner of Ngannou versus Joshua as an unbeaten, still reigning WBC champion, that does give him a bit more leverage, doesn't it?
If you go in there with Usyk and you roll the dice with him, he might beat you. Then your stock takes a hit and you're on the same level as everybody else. Your star is dimming.
If you get out of this thing now, you'll ruffle some feathers, but you're used to ruffling people's feathers like you did all those years ago when you robbed John McDermott, or when you pulled out on Ustinov, when you pulled out on Pulev, when you bulked on the Klitschko rematch.
When you bulked on the Anthony Joshua fight 2 years ago, don't you remember? The fight was all but done, but his mediation arbitration with Wilder, it got in the way. Tyson Fury's no stranger to inconveniencing everybody out there.
He's used to it by now. He tells himself, what am I gonna go in there and roll a dice with Usyk for when the winner of Joshua versus Ngannou is gonna get decided next month? I can fight them and I can probably beat them easier than I beat him. He might beat me.
You're thinking to yourself, this Julius guy is nuts. No way Fury cuts himself to fake an injury. To get out of this fight, he's gonna do all that.
Well, he has to sell it. He has to make it look good. Look at all the trouble that the Saudis went through to put this thing together. Look at what they spent on promotion and production. The trailer they recently released for this fight. They went through a lot of trouble, and they're not gonna be happy if you call it off over what's just a cut, a scratch.
You've got to sell it. You've got to make it look good. It's a laceration.
But that's not enough to convince you, is it? No. Well, need I remind you that way back when, in 2013, back when David Haye was supposed to fight Tyson Fury, he suffered a cut. He suffered a laceration in sparring that resulted in the fight being called off and never happening. And when that happened, Tyson Fury himself accused David Haye of doing what I'm accusing Tyson Fury of doing. That's right. In Tyson Fury's opinion, he did all that to get out of the fight. So now I'll ask you, if it's not outside the realm of possibility to Tyson Fury himself that somebody might resort to this, if it's not outside the realm of possibility to him, why would this be outside the realm of possibility to you?
It's because you're stupid and you can't see the forest through the trees, or worse. You're not stupid, you know better, but you pretend that you don't because you're a big Tyson Fury fan, and you like having to apologize for this asshole.
This fat bag of milk that gets a kick out of wasting the entire boxing community's time, because that's what he does. That's what he's been doing. That's what he's still doing. Not even Saudi money is enough to get this fat fucking coward in the ring with Alexander Usyk, because he knows what time it is and he knows what's gonna happen. So now Alexander Usyk versus Hrgovic is reportedly now being explored. They want to save the date. They want to fight on the 17th. Usyk's team have been told it may be several months until Fury is ready. His manager, Egis Klimas, has revealed. So put your thinking caps on, kids.
Right.
If Usyk fights Hrgovic later on this month,
right,
on short notice, he might win, he might lose. If he loses, he's no longer Fury's problem.
That's what he's telling himself. Let's drag this thing out and let's see if somebody don't come along and beat him. He's got 3 alphabet titles and a mandatory challenger for every one of them.
If he's not fighting us, he has to fight one of them. And maybe one of them beat him, at which point maybe they run it back.
Yeah.
Maybe they fly a kite. Who the fuck knows? But he won't be our problem anymore.
Yeah.
If a fight between Alexander Usyk and Hrgovic goes down on the 17th later on this month, maybe Usyk wins,
yeah,
maybe Usyk loses.
If nothing else, it buys Tyson Fury time enough to get out of this fight, and in the between time, fight someone else. Because if Usyk fights this guy in February, he's not gonna jump right back in there with Tyson Fury straight away.
Oh, because then he'll have to be the one who has to recover. Even if he wins, he'll have to recuperate for several weeks and several months. And while he's doing that, Tyson Fury's cut heals right on time for him to come back and fight the winner of Joshua versus Ngannou. Ngannou, which I'm sure you've heard Eddie Hearn is very receptive to. He was actually hoping that Tyson Fury would win the Usyk fight so he can move on from that and go into a Joshua fight, since he figures Anthony Joshua's gonna do this guy. He's gonna knock him out. He's gonna beat him.
Can't wait to be in Saudi. The whole boxing world will be there for a massive moment for the division, massive moment for boxing. And, you know, I'm really excited for the fight, Usyk Fury. I don't really know what's going to happen, but hopefully our boys can get their wins, and then I can sit there as a fan and just, obviously I'll be cheering for the Brit as much as I love Usyk. I want Tyson Fury to win, one, because he's British, and two, because obviously it could set up something major with AJ, but I really can't wait to see the fight.
Now, Fury versus Joshua, as a fight, is not contingent upon Fury winning or losing against Alexander Usyk. You could do that fight with AJ in either scenario, but Tyson Fury, and with Tyson Fury, things have to be just so. Everything has to be just so. And I don't think he'd want to go into the AJ fight coming off a loss to Usyk. Coming off a loss to Usyk would put him on similar footing to Anthony Joshua, as Usyk in that scenario would have beaten them both, and that's not what Fury wants. No, Fury wants to go in unbeaten. He wants to be a champion. He wants that leverage over AJ.
How many times, in how many videos, over the last 2 to 3 years have I told you, Fury doesn't fancy that Usyk fight.
Nope.
Because he can't get in his head, and because he can't outlittle the little guy.
His performance in a Deontay Wilder fight over time became more and more of an isolated incident, because he didn't fight Dillian White the same way that he fought Deontay Wilder. He didn't even fight Derek Chisora the way that he fought Deontay Wilder. He didn't even fight Francis Ngannou with the same bully-style, roughhouse tactics that he used on Deontay Wilder. Him being this pressure fighter and this volume puncher, this...
It actually has more to do with Wilder being limited than Fury being strong, because you've only ever fought that way with him.
Now, you're having trouble processing this. You're telling yourself, well, look at the pictures. Look at the picture of the cut. And look at Tyson Fury's condition. It does look like he was trying to get in shape. Maybe he was, but not for Alexander Usyk. You're not in shape for the Usyk fight now that you're not having it, but you're ahead of schedule for a Joshua fight or an Ngannou rematch.
Camp has already started for those two guys.
So why can't more people see the forest through the trees when it comes to Tyson Fury? And it's because even though he's a hillbilly and he's trailer trash from the UK, hidden behind a charming UK accent.
Do you know how much Americans are enamored with the UK and English accents, Irish accents, accents in general? They can't see him for what he is because of that.
Many of the Brits have already read the writing on the wall when it comes to Fury, but some Americans, it hasn't dawned on them yet that trailer trash with an accent is still trailer trash.
It's what Tyson Fury is, and you're still reading too much into it that he beat a limited fighter, a one-handed puncher in Deontay Wilder, as if Deontay Wilder were the end-all and be-all of this era's heavyweights. We know he wasn't. He just got outclassed by Joseph Parker.
So maybe beating Deontay Wilder isn't as big a deal as you thought it was, as Tyson Fury made it out to be, but you want to believe it. You don't want to admit that you're wrong. See, when it comes to the American fight fans that are still supporting Tyson Fury and going with the cover story, all that's about is a bunch of people that don't want to admit they were wrong about him.
Yep.
They've been wrong all this time.
Yep.
They got it wrong. I'm convinced we don't get undisputed. I'm convinced Tyson Fury may never set foot in the ring with Alexander Usyk. That all of this is just a ploy to redirect him to another fight with another fighter, because he's never wanted to fight that fighter.
That's when it comes to the Americans. Now, when it comes to the Brits, many of them, they're a lot more objective, and they see Fury for what he is. It was just the other day that Carl Froch was asking, how good is Fury? How good is he really? He was in that stinker with Klitschko.
Nobody thought he was the greatest heavyweight of all times based on that performance. The Wilder fights were more exciting, but how good was Deontay Wilder? How good was he anyway? He just got outclassed by Joseph Parker. Carl Froch was asking questions. George Groves claimed Usyk was going to outclass this guy. He was going to beat him, and he was going to beat him easy.
To a lot of the Brits, even though that's more or less where Tyson Fury's from, the writing was already on the wall, and it had been on the wall for years. I told you guys a million times.
I did.
He's not everybody's sweetheart over there.
Stuff like this is why, if at this point you're still giving Tyson Fury the benefit of the doubt in any form or fashion, what you need to do is have your head examined. Because at this point, it's pattern behavior. At this point, it's Teldum age, it's vintage Tyson Fury. Pulling out of fights with cockamamie excuses that are hard to believe at very opportune times.
Right?
Oh, you can't run it back with Klitschko because you injured your ankle. Then it went from an ankle injury to a doping case to being mentally unfit to fight. How convenient.
You think this putz would stand for ceremony? He never cared about undisputed to begin with. He said that himself. Becoming an undisputed champion was never his priority, his dream. It was always someone else's dream.
But what about all of the money he stood to make?
He can still make money. I didn't say he can't make money. He can make money fighting the winner of Joshua versus Ngannou, who to Fury is a lot more beatable anyway. Just as big, if not a bigger purse.
Like I said, if Usyk actually goes through with this on the 17th and he fights somebody else, fights Hrgovic, he's gonna have to recover after that. While he's recovering, Tyson Fury's cut will have healed right on time for him to fight the winner of Joshua versus Ngannou over the summer months. He doesn't care about Usyk. He doesn't care about undisputed. And I'm telling you now,
No.
I'd be surprised if we see an undisputed champion crowned in this era, because I don't think Fury is going to fight Usyk.
Needless to say, I'm very disappointed, though I'm not at all surprised, because this really is vintage Tyson Fury.
There are already a lot of fights on the calendar, some better than others, some more exciting, some more competitive, though of all of them, this was the fight on the calendar that I was looking forward to the most meaningful, the most historically significant, because we haven't seen a heavyweight undisputed champion since Lennox Lewis, and that was over 2 decades ago.
Just so that a little over 2-3 weeks out from the fight, this putz can supposedly get injured? Yeah, I don't buy it. I don't believe it.
And don't try to sell it to me, because I've made up my mind, and as I stated earlier in the video, if you're looking for someone who's going to give Tyson Fury the benefit of the doubt and read through this with a level head, you're in the wrong place, because that ain't me.
Fuck Tyson Fury!
Fuck him, and fuck you!